Yeah, so it was, talk about shared information. It was a great moment when I told my colleague at Centenary at the time, Mark Godrich, about this book I just finished reading. And he said, oh, I teach that book in my class. It was Complexity, A Guided Tour by Melanie Mitchell. And I said, you do? You know about this stuff? Oh, yeah, I know about that. Yeah, I love that stuff. And so we start talking and so on. And I'm so happy now that he was willing to collaborate with me and try and model some of the ideas that I've been thinking about, coming out of all my work in culture and seeing culture as sort of an information processing set of techniques. And also being sort of schooled in symbolic interactionism and thinking about how interaction is a way of defining the situation, putting it in order, modeling some of what happens in interaction. So we set about doing that, and we saw each agent as having information, knowing something, as it were. We had each agent have that knowledge would be represented by a rating about how they feel about something. I think it was 0 to 20 or something like that. And so there's a little number there on that issue. They have 20 issues. Some issues that are possible to know about. We had to sort of limit it. Some issues they don't know anything about. They've never encountered that. But there's some issues that they do know something about. And the number there is what they think or feel about that. There's also their confidence in that number. And we represent that in slides with sort of the size of that number, how much you care about that issue, because you really know a lot about that. Don't you dare tell me that that's not what that is. I really know, okay? And we randomly distribute agents in this sort of cybernetic universe and allow them to interact with each other. We allow them to see within a certain range the other agents and to be able to see what they know about. Now you might think, well, it's not realistic. We don't know what people know about. When we walk into the cocktail party, we're going to know what people know about already. Well, I mean, of course, we sort of do. You know, if I can tell with a friend who dresses a certain way, oh, I'll bet I know which way he votes, you know, or somebody else and something else. And, you know, we send signals all the time, sort of what we care about and sort of who we think we are and what kind of conversations we're interested in having. I'm probably doing it right now with the mock turtleneck or something. So we allow the agents to sort of circulate and to interact with those, to choose to interact with those that share information with them. So the degree of similarity is important. And the degree to which they know about stuff. If they know about a lot of stuff, a lot of issues, or they're very confident in certain issues, they're more valuable to interact with because the information that they'll give them will be more valuable. I want to hear about from that person. They've been around. They really know. And then they trade in this model. They exchange information. Now, if it's a bigwig, somebody who knows a lot about, they know a lot of stuff, and they've got a lot of confidence in issues, they're not going to care that much about that little agent's information. They might do a little trading, but the trade is uneven. So I'll get something from you, I'll give you a little bit of, I think we've got to sort of disproportionately trading like that. And that seems to be realistic with what goes on. It's tough to get an interaction with somebody who's way, way ranking above you. It's easy to get interactions with people that rank way below you, that kind of thing. And then, so we had that, modeled that, and it seemed to work pretty well. You would see sort of communities of agents develop, but everybody would get big eventually. And then we realized, they're not forgetting anything. They're not forgetting any information. There's no entropy here. Stuff dies. We're going to reinvent stuff in complexity studies that they already thought of probably 100 years ago, 200, who knows how long, but it's not been in our consciousness. So we would have people in this model sort of you'd see sort of issues sort of drop off, and we have them sort of diagrammed in this model with or illustrated with little colored squares that are sort of like little poop piles of the agents that they're leaving as they drop off some waste. And we had that fold in, because you never lose energy, right? You never, I mean, in a sense, but it changes, that we had that be recyclable so that agents can come along and pick that up and find that issue, discover that issue. Oh no, now I didn't know about that issue, but now I'm going to use that and make it part of what I know. But we had that inversely recyclable, so that the more meaningful, the more you know, the less you're able to recycle stuff like that. The more you need refined information, the more you care about that. And so little peons that are running around, and they can go fast because they're more nimble, they have less momentum in any particular way. It's sort of, we're trying to adhere to sort of some basic principles of physics there as well. They can pick up stuff. The smallest ones can pick up stuff right away. But the bigger you are, the longer you have to wait before you pick up some of that information that's been left and dropped off and died. So that's a bit of the compost recycling. And we do see communities that emerge based on issues, knowledge, and layers within those communities a bit, so that there's some big wigs, and then there's smaller people that are going between the bigger ones, and even the littlest ones go between the communities and sort of fertilize the soil and keep things a little bit active. They might be the earthworms of the system somehow. So it's been fun. We're getting there, and it's neat. It sort of articulates a lot of the basic sort of principles of homophily, but the importance for diversity, and the facts of entropy, and how information is assimilated, and it gains its value when it's new, and it loses its value over time.